Wow, listen, this one was frenetic from start to finish, and maybe a little too frenetic as we welcome you here to Sixers Postgame Live, brought to you by Cure Auto Insurance. Amy Fadul, the coach Jim Lynam, and our big man Mark Jackson. And Coach, you were mentioning something. You mentioned it actually at the half, and then now you come back to say it again. It was an incredible pace that the Sixers, and everybody really were playing at, but the Sixers especially. They had that 1-point lead at the half, and you said at the time, you're like, this is a pretty wild pace to try and sustain.
Yeah, and I think what happens, you pay the price in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
The Sixers literally, they were so tired and fatigued, they had no legs. You saw jumper after jumper laying on that front rim.
Tyrese Maxey played almost 47 minutes. It's a 48-minute game, everyone, so think about that. He took a little less than a minute and a half off. That's one of the things when you don't have Joel Embiid, you can't afford to take any plays off. You can't afford to have any real rest on the bench. We know that he is the Energizer buddy, but that's going to take it out of everybody. The pace with which they were dictating this one. Maxey does seem to thrive with that, but there's going to be a payoff at the end, and he goes 9 for 23. He was trying out there, but sometimes you get a little fatigued.
Absolutely, you do, especially when coach is not using a lot of the bench. Respectfully, he's not going 7 deep, maybe 8 at the most in crucial times. So you're going to play them most minutes. But it's very important. That's when other guys got to step up to kind of relieve that pressure for him have to be the go far as scoring-wise. I thought the 76ers in this game, I have to agree with Coach. I thought the pace was so frantic early that it kind of wore them late. But with that being said, I also thought other guys' legs kind of gave out on them late in the game when I think New York Knicks, this particular game, had more horses in the stable ready to run.
Yeah, obviously the bench. And we're going to talk about the bench because there was some good production out of that. We're going to talk about Dominick Barlow coming up. I think Quentin Grimes gave them a couple of good defensive efforts, just not enough offense on that front. A lot of fouls called in this game. Hope you enjoyed the referees because they were prominently featured. And they can't find me because I don't work for any of the teams. But there was a lot on both sides. But there was a lot of fouls, a lot of ticky-tack fouls. Someone upstairs in the newsroom we were watching it said it reminded them of a March Madness game because it was like a college game out there with the fouls. That being said, Mark Jackson, you have to make the buckets when it counted. I thought there was just some really timely misses, unfortunately, for the Sixers, especially late, because they had the Knicks where they wanted them. They were playing their style, getting up and down the court, shooting those threes. They were making the threes. They just, is it running out of gas? Is it just being a little bit out of position? Is it a combination?
I think what it is I think as I look at these stats here with Paul George at 19, Kelly with 19, VJ with 17, I think Maxey with 26. When you look at the way the game is played, it was a physical game. Of course, that's why there were so many fouls called. But with that being said, I truly think when you look down the bench, you look at Quentin Grimes, Barlow, Bona, I think when you have other guys that contribute a little bit more, I think the thing plays in your favor if you have enough talent. And I think 76ers have enough talent to step up. These numbers are not horrible by the Sixers, but they can always be better. And then you look on the other side, the Knicks. I just think they had the little home court advantage to kind of get an edge. But to me, this is a neck-and-neck game from beginning to end. Yeah,
when you're feeling the fatigue, little things like that, a timely three here, the crowd getting you up can really get you through. But, Coach, you mentioned the fourth quarter, 4 for 19 from the field for the Sixers, 1 for 10. That is the kind of thing that's going to catch up to you when you've been playing 48 minutes, 47 minutes, 42 minutes.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the numbers. The Sixers, as you said, Amy, they had the lead at the half. They scored 62 points in the first half. In the second half, 40 points. That's a 22-point difference.
Yeah, it's such a big difference maker. 1 for 10, that shows you tired legs in there when you're just not getting a lot of front iron misses. And so when you're looking at it, but this was there for the taking. It seemed like it was there. And you're just wondering if they just had one more piece, one more little extra thing. You talk about why you miss Joel Embiid. And I know there's going to be people out there that are going to say, like, all right, well, if Joel Embiid wasn't in the game, you would have played at that pace. No, but you would have had another person out there spacing the floor. So it's 99 all with 5 minutes to go, Coach. Sixers just could not find that bucket at this point.
No, and surprise, who gets two? And I know all the three-point analytic guys. Well, guess what? 2 mid-range jumpers by Brunson. That's what won this game.
Yeah, so then you're looking at it. He was a guy, he had to work for it, much more so. It was a much better defensive game plan, I thought, on Jalen Brunson, who was 9 of 21, and on Karl Anthony Towns, who was efficient but still just didn't really light them up like the way that he has been lighting up the Hawks. Those guys were able to get to the positions that they wanted late, and I think that's really what the difference maker is. That defense did not come through in a big-time way. That's a pretty bad turnover. Though I think Dominick Barlow played a good game. That's a bad turnover. And Mark, this was where it should have had a better shot.
Yeah, I truly think, you listen to the crowd, the time is winding down in your mind, and you have more time than you think, but you just can't get it at that
13 seconds on the shot clock. You had just passed over. I get if the crowd's like saying something, but you knew you had just crossed over the timeline, so you probably had more than 4 seconds to get up a shot. But here's what we're talking about as far as the minutes go. Tyrese Maxey leading the way with 47 minutes, Paul George 43, and then you can see on down the starters going quite a bit. Now the centers minutes were really, all those guys got into foul trouble, so that's why you see Dominick Barlow 16 and Dembona 16 and Andre Drummond 16. All those guys racked up a ton of fouls in this one, 5 and 4 and 5 fouls throughout the night. Dembona picked up his 5th foul, I think, in the 3rd quarter, so that limited him in this one. But that's exhausting. And I'm going to go back to something we were just getting ready to talk about. When Joel Embiid is in the game, the pace is much different. There's no doubt about it. He's not running up and down the court like he's VJ Edgecombe or Tyrese Maxey. But when you're looking for a little extra boost, Mark Jackson, having a player that can drop 30 points is going to be a really nice little card you can play out there.
And the instant part, yes, so you have Joel Embiid out there, of course, he can get you buckets at will, slowing the pace down a little bit. But I also think, if you rebound the ball, Maxey and VJ are still able to get out in transition. I don't think you have to kill one to rule the other one. With that being said, when he's not there, though, you got to figure it out. And then more is on your shoulders, more is on you to do more for the entirety of the 48 minutes. And I truly thought guys wore down, but I thought the effort was there. And I know we're not getting participation awards, but we got to say, if we had one more, it would have been a different outcome. And I'm not a guy who could read the future, but that's what I believe. And that's just me. Maybe I'm saying, oh, you saw a loser. I don't know what it is, but I thought this game was there for the taking. We just ran out of gas.
Yeah, I think that's where you're going to go back on it. It's just going to be a little bit more, I don't know, disappointing because you felt like you limited them to a certain degree, certainly from 3, Coach, and you felt like you were able to push them off of their game until the very end. And maybe that's not a silver lining when you look at it like that.
No, you're dead on. The Sixer defense, I thought, was sensational.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they made Brunson work for every bucket that he got. But I think the analyst, Tim Legler, who we all know, he hit it on the head. You're going to have to win a game in New York. As Mark just said, they were right here.
Yeah. This
may have been the one for the taking. And you have to take advantage of those opportunities. And unfortunately, they weren't able to do that.
Yeah, you wonder how much, it's not been a very deep bench. And I go back to something that Nick Nurse said, I think it was after Game 6, and then again after Game 7. It's like, I'm going to play my best players. He obviously didn't have one of his best players at his disposal with Joel Embiid ruled out this afternoon, dealing with a hip and ankle injury, both on the right side there. Hopefully he's available for their game at home. That is Game 3 on Friday. You hope that he's available for the rest of the series because it is a very non-deep bench when you think about the playing time. We were marking out here, Dominick Barlow got in the game and I thought played tremendously well for a player that had not played really at all meaningful minutes, Coach, except for in a couple of one-sided games, whether it was one-sided for Boston or one-sided for the Sixers. How much do you think he's going to have to go a little bit deeper on there, maybe just one extra player like a Justin Edwards type to get you a little extra?
Yeah, no, you hit it on the head. Just one extra perimeter guy just to give those guys a little bit more of a blow. And you're right, Barlow, I thought he was terrific. Mm-hmm. And really this is his first significant play, I think, in the playoffs. And a smart move by the Sixers. They went small there for that stretch, forced the Knicks to match them. And they didn't really take a step back because Barlow was in there as your tallest guy. And nice maneuver also by Coach Nurse. He had Paul George frequently guarding Towns, and George did a nice job.
Yeah, which I thought that was good. And it looked like it was going to be a bit of a defensive mismatch because you had Barlow on OG Anunoby, but he actually blocked him on the three-pointer, which led to a bucket on the other end. But let's talk a little bit more about Dominick Barlow. He has not gotten any really significant run in crux of games. And this is another one you're thinking, this is not going to go well, right?
Exactly, but you trust
But he's
Barlow.
Actually more athletic, I think, than Jalen. No offense, Jalen.
Exactly. No, it's a fact. You want to put somebody on longer Brunson and make him shoot contested shots. And Barlow has the quick feet to do such a thing. But Brunson's so crafty. I don't care if you put a super athlete guard on him, you put a big on him. He's still going to make the right play. He's
going to pass out of that. And I think that was the thing that they could use to Barlow's size. He is athletic. He is very rangy. And, Coach, he actually guarded some of the better players very well, I thought.
Oh, no question. Well, you saw he guarded Brunson twice.
Yep.
put him down. Brunson had to pass the ball on both occasions. Now, this guy, he's
just a closeout on the block.
Exact terrific block shot there to a would-be three-point shooter. Yeah, look at this play. Now, see, he got there to double belatedly, but Brunson got spooked. Didn't see him coming, and as a result, the Sixers get a big turnover late in the game.
Yeah, I would think going forward, this is going to be an eye-opening experience with or without Joel Embiid. They know they can have that guy. And one of the reasons that I think Barlow was a little bit more playable in this game, we have to remind you that Mitchell Robinson was ruled out right before the game. He was listed as questionable about an hour before tip-off. He'd been dealing with an illness. Then they ruled him out right before the game started, right before we came on, for pregame show. So it was a little bit different that they didn't have that big lumbering center out there, Coach.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you something, Amy. When you have a guy like Barlow, let's just say he's guarding Mitchell Robinson, you can switch the Brunson pick and roll. No problem. He's more adept than, let's say, Bona or Drummond at keeping Brunson in front, as we just saw on those plays. So somebody say, yeah, but mightn't on the switch, might they throw Mitchell Robinson the ball inside? Throw Mitchell Robinson the ball inside. You want that, or you want Brunson doing his thing at mid-range? Yeah. No, Barlow, I think you're right. He may have thrust himself into the rotation here.
I would think this is going to be something, especially in this. And his stats are going to be pretty good. 2 blocks, 1 steal, though I think he had more than that because it seemed like his hands were always in there, whether deflecting or certainly making guys pass out of after them being kind of guarded by him. You saw that. How much more run do you think he's going to see against this Knicks team?
You know, it's interesting. I think him and Justin Edwards are going to be the ones that, depending on how the game is flowing, but I think both of them can actually get 5 to 10 minutes a game. I think just to relieve guys, keep things afloat until guys recover, get back in the game. But I think Barlow's length and his ability to guard multiple people. But I think what I'm saying from Nick Nurse is, even though Barlow hasn't played much in the playoffs, but I think that the odds are in it where he plays better with Joel Embiid on the floor.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah, because I think he knows how to play with him. But the question is, when you're playing against a lot of mobile people, do you want him and Joel on that floor? But I say, I'll make it different. I think you do.
I think you do, because I think you have athleticism with and the quickness with Barlow, because we've seen him. He can get up down the court just like anybody else that's in the guard position. He does give up a little bit on offense. I think that's the one thing you saw that towards the end, offense, defense kind of substitutions.
But can I interject there? One thing you notice, because they're blitzing Maxey, that means double teaming when he's trying to come off pick and rolls. That means you got to get that ball to that big as he's a short roll to make the next play. And I think Barlow, he had one bad interception late, but other than that, all the rest of his passes, decision-making was right on the money. I think that's something to keep in mind, too.
Yeah, we can talk about some of the defense on Karl-Anthony Towns. Much different looking this time around as they were up all, Kelly Oubre said, white on rice? I like exactly what they were doing. Everybody was up on everybody early on in this game. We're going to hear from Nick Nurse coming up after this Game 2 loss up in the Garden coming up.